like the episode?
Starting this.
Finding Juan's dog.
I don't think we do need to find it.
I think it's a really bummer, Theo. Like, I hate that.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things like I absolutely hate, and I don't know why I'm having a hard time not not laughing about it at the same time. It's like I don't like just because I'm laughing about it does not mean I'm not upset about it. But yeah. That's a bummer. Catherine, if you need me to watch your dog.
I don't have one, so problem solved.
Well, you wouldn't either after we watched it, so.
Okay. I think we're ready. Are you ready? You know what? I was trying to pull out my copy of Leisure, the Basis of Culture.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it.
What?
And it's like, well, when I read it, maybe I borrowed yours. Like,
oh, is that what you did?
I don't know.
Dude, look, I mean, like, I have, mine is so...
Which is exciting because, like, now I get to buy it next time I see it.
That is actually exciting.
Yeah.
And you should get this one.
Okay.
Because it's the hardcover.
Yeah.
The only difference is for whatever reason, they combined chapter 4 and 3 and 4 in Leisure. Because, you know, it's 2 essays put together,
yeah.
right? The Philosophical Act and this one. And for whatever reason, they put together...
there are no really chapters, though, right? I mean, it's just...
Well, there are, but, like... See, I figured out, like...
Did he actually say chapter 3?
Oh, I don't know.
I think that's what I was thinking. It's like, it's an essay. So somebody later on came and said...
Well, it probably had a new... Because each part is, like, a new, like, topic within Leisure,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So...
Interesting. How weird.
Anyway, there's a lot I could riff off of that, but I didn't really read your list, to be honest.
You want to read it now?
No, I guess we're live already.
We are.
Okay, well, like we should. I didn't realize we were live.
You want to read it now?
Typically, you go, "Hey, we're gonna be live," and we're live, and
hey,
then,
we're live.
Okay, well let's
don't make any inappropriate jokes.
Well, I wouldn't do that anyway. Why don't we just go ahead and get started?
Okay. Are you ready?
Today, I am here to give you the assurance that I have not forgotten you.
If we want to see the new evangelization become more than just jargon,
knock this table down.
if we want to see it grow legs and gain traction and change the world, we have got to take seriously our responsibilities as husbands and fathers, and especially as sons of God.
I want to propose to you then that something that our world is desperately in need of in the midst of this crisis is Catholic Christian masculinity.
If you want to be a good father, then bring your children to confession with you.
I can't get there unless I become a man of ascesis, a man of asceticism, a man of training.
A man not doing penance, a man not disciplined, is not a man.
You guys have upped your game.
You know what, guys? I gotta say, I love the concept of Man Show.
Warning: the Catholic Man Show is about to begin.
Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. We're on the Lord's team, the winning side. So raise your glass. Yeah. All right.
Cheers.
Adam Minahan here, sitting with David Niles in studio. We have a first time. Is this the first time?
I believe it's the first time.
I'll let you.
So we have our friend Catherine Pickens in the Peanut Gallery with us today. Also, Jim is here, but I think
Jim's not a new. That's
not the first time. I think everybody knows that. But I don't think we've ever had a female guest in the Peanut Gallery. So welcome, Catherine.
Thank you.
We're glad that you're here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Yes.
Catherine is
a good friend of ours.
A good friend and also fellow lover of a good scotch.
So even if she hates
her dad,
hanging out with us tonight, she's getting a good scotch out of the deal.
Her dad is like very Ron Swanson-esque. If you've ever met her dad, wouldn't you say so? Yeah. He's got the mustache. Like even his kind of demeanor is like
he knows how to build things.
He's like a happy Ron Swanson. Ron Swanson's not like a happy guy, but
I wouldn't call him jovial.
No, but Catherine's dad's like a happy Ron Swanson.
Nice.
I think that's a really good way to describe him, actually. Yeah. I'm proud of myself for coming up with that.
Way to go, man.
Thank you.
This evening we are having, like as we mentioned, a very nice scotch. It's been a while since we've had like kind of the top shelf scotch. So the next couple weeks we're gonna have a couple top shelves.
Might as well.
I mean, it's year 7 for us. It's the perfect year.
It is the year of perfection.
So,
I knew I felt good.
Yeah.
I knew it.
7 years of the Catholic Man Show. So we're going to go through some top shelves in the next couple weeks.
Sweet.
This one is Talisker, aged 18 years.
I love Talisker is always good.
It's always.
They're always good.
I agree. From the Isle of Skye, we're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Cheers. So it says intense flavors of fruitiness and peat. So it's a combo of fruitiness and peat.
Huh. A lot less peat than I was expecting. Yeah, it's more rich, like more of the fruit, a lot more of the fruit than the peat. You know, I was expecting something a lot more aggressive, and this is like mild.
It has a nice peat at the end, though.
Really behaving itself very well.
It has a nice peat at the end.
Yeah, but it's not actually all that strong.
That is nice. What do you think, Jim?
I like it. It's the right amount of peat. So
right amount of peat.
3.6
on the yummy scale.
Okay.
We don't actually know, Catherine. We're not positive.
I always forget what the scale actually is.
Yeah.
But this one's 3.6.
What do you What are your thoughts? Do you enjoy it?
Yes, very much.
Very much. She very much enjoys it. So it's a like I said, it's a top shelf. I think it's about $145, $150.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more on the
Yeah, I mean,
pricey
it's an
side.
18-year Scotch.
18-year
Scotch.
Yeah. But it's really good.
It is very good. Yeah, the peat is more subtle, but it does come in. It's definitely there at the end. It just doesn't have, like.
It reminds me of the La Santa, Glenmorangie La Santa at the very beginning, and then it
right.
flushes.
It's like got a lot of warm, rich flavors in the beginning. It's just not what I was expecting. Like having had a lot of other Talisker, which is a lot more in just like the Isla, like vein. This is quite a bit different from that, I think, which is, like I said, unexpected.
Yeah,
but I like it.
Good, I do too. So I just got back from Baltimore.
Yes,
Catholic Media Conference.
Do tell.
It was a lot of fun because you get a chance to like hang out with other people like honing their craft, trying to talk shop on like different ways of how to preach the gospel.
Okay.
One of the things I mentioned when I was giving a talk, I said, like, guys, listen, we're all preaching the same message. The message is not unique to us, right? We're all preaching the gospel. It's just a matter of how are we preaching it.
Yeah.
It's not about what we're preaching. It's about how we're doing it. And so it's really important that we all, collaborate. And if something's working for you well, you should share it with other people because it's not
a
the same
competition
thing. It's not
here.
a competition. Yeah, we're not like I don't want my diocese to be better than your diocese. I want us all to be
as good as they can be,
as good as we could possibly can be.
Right.
But one of the things I drove home, which doesn't really it isn't talked about enough, I don't think, in the world, is I talked about the importance of that we have to be men and women of prayer, and that I strongly suggested that if you are a communications director and you have employees, that you allow them to have 1 hour a week in front of the Blessed Sacrament during work hours. Like not.
I'm definitely pro this idea.
Not on your lunch break or anything else. No, like during work, like you're
being paid to do it.
You're being paid to sit in front of the Blessed Sacrament for 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
And so that was very well received. I wasn't sure, just because a lot of people are like trying to understand, like, okay, well, what about the Facebook algorithm and how many emails should we be sending? You know, they're all wanting all these technical things, and I kind of deviated from that a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was really good. It was a lot of fun to get a chance to talk to a lot of different people, meet new people. I got to talk to Father Patrick Briscoe.
Sweet.
Dominican that we've had on the show before, talking about leisure.
Nice.
Remember? And that's what we talked about on the show.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you meant you were talking about leisure.
No. We talked about leisure on the show with him.
Right, yeah.
Which is ironic, being that...
That's what we're talking about tonight.
Right. But it was really good to talk to him, catch up with him.
Sweet.
Had a chance to smoke a cigar and have a whiskey with him.
I always like smoking cigars with religious priests.
Me too. Yeah.
So you lost Juan's dog.
You were going to, I wasn't going to talk about that.
I know.
Okay.
Obviously, we're talking about it. Okay. So Juan is out of town, and he trusted you to keep track of his dog. How long do you guess, roughly, the dog was in your possession until you lost it?
I don't know.
Like 40 minutes?
No.
Longer than 40 minutes.
Longer than 40 minutes.
4 hours.
Potentially longer than 40
It could have
hours.
been. You don't know.
Yeah, if everybody could say a prayer, please, because we really need to find Juan's dog. I'm not laughing because, I know, I'm not trying to laugh.
We're laughing because the presumption is that we will find the dog.
We're hoping
it's just a little
chaotic right
now. Until everybody laughs at me when I lose my cows, but as soon as a dog gets lost, like, oh, the poor dog, the dog will be fine. I mean, unless a hawk flies by, then it might not be fine.
Yeah, we're trying to find the dog.
What kind of dog is it?
It's a Boston Terrier.
A Boston Terrier.
If you find one, please call me. If it's once.
Anyone. I'm sure he won't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, please say a prayer. On another note, the Bishop's podcast, Tulsa Time.
Yeah.
We play second.
Congratulations.
We play second as in the best podcast category for the diocese, like all the diocese podcasts.
Hosted by the diocese. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be the Catholic Man Show, but
we didn't. Yeah, but
obviously.
But yeah, we got second place, which is really awesome.
That is awesome.
It was, we just started too. I think we just hit episode 28 or 29.
Uh-huh.
So that was a big win for the Diocese of Tulsa.
How did they grade it? Like,
they had
people who decide like, oh, I like this one better than this one.
Yeah, because everybody submits the podcast that they want to be judged, and there's a lot of them out there now. Like, I don't know if you know this, but the bishops are getting on board with podcasts and realizing the benefit that it can be.
I think the internet is here to stay.
Yeah,
I've decided I don't think it's a fad anymore.
Right. And so, which is a good thing. This is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It's an opportunity for the bishops to continue their teaching authority to the laity,
mm-hmm.
and give them, like, it humanizes a bishop, right? A
right.
lot of times you don't get a chance to see the bishop all that often.
Yeah, and it gives you access. I mean, for hundreds of years. I mean, there have been people who may have gone their whole life without ever meeting their bishop.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes,
and so to be able to sit there and actually hear from their own mouth, from their in their own words,
right,
what it is, like, their vision is for the diocese, how they,
what's on their heart,
exactly, on certain important issues that are relevant.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
Yeah, so it's called Tulsa Time with Bishop Condrela, if you want to look that up.
We also have a fantastic bishop.
We do.
So I mean that really helps.
That really helps. Yeah, you want to go check that out though if you're from the Oklahoma area. So yeah, so we just got back from that Friday, a couple days ago.
Nice.
When we get back, we're gonna talk about leisure today.
Yes.
Very excited about this.
We're gonna very slowly talk about it.
We'll be right back.
So what was the number one podcast?
It's from the Diocese of Orange.
Orange, California?
Yes.
Okay.
What?
I haven't had a chance to look up that podcast yet, but we did beat third place was the Diocese of Detroit, which their communications director, Edmund Reyes, is like known as one of the best communications directors in the U.S. So it's like really cool to one up that one.
Yeah. Well, I guess he's not anymore, is he?
No, he still is. He is a fantastic. It is such a huge benefit to the church that he's in that position, because he is very creative and willing to take risks.
He knows how to like communicate.
He does. So he's a guy that I look up to, like try to figure out what is he doing. He's pretty impressive.
Sweet.
All right, let's keep rolling.
Are you ready?
Yeah. And I cannot believe you brought up Deaf-One's dog. Like I'm
not gonna bring it up.
I was pretty sure we were gonna be able to make it through.
It's totally fine.
And then it caught me.
We can talk about all the cows being out, but we can't talk about a dog.
It's your cows.
Come on. My cows are way more important than a dog. All right. There's
gonna be people mad about that.
Look, you know that I don't care what people think, and like my cows, they serve a purpose. I need those cows.
Oh, man.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Did we go that far over?
I just forgot to hit the button. Oh. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles. Here with Adam Minahan. We're talking about how to liege. We got Jim Spencer here with us today. He doesn't look like Santa Claus anymore.
No. Beard trimmed.
It's like way too short.
Way too short.
Shirt. Yeah, it's aggressive salmon, I would say, is the name of that color. Coral. Man, I have no idea the difference between coral and salmon. Coral was one of the colors at my wedding. That was when I learned about that's a color. I didn't know. I thought it was like a living thing in the ocean. Turns out it's a color. I don't know which one came first, you know. We also have Catherine Pickens with us. Thanks for being here, Catherine.
So we're going to talk about leisure.
We're talking about lieging, how to liege.
I'm really excited because we just recently finished our book club on leisure.
This very topic, right. Yep. So I want to go over today. We've talked about leisure in the past, so we're going to be taking a little bit of a different spin on it today. We're going to talk about it generally here in the beginning. You know, got to lay some ground rules for lieging.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about like just different leisurely things to do this summer.
Activities, maybe?
Activities, yes. That are leisurely. Things that I like to do.
Okay.
And that maybe you'll like to do too.
Awesome. So again, we just finished this book in our book club. If you go to patreon.com/The Catholic Man Show, support us on Patreon. Any level, you'll be able to be a part of the book club. We're going to be starting Plato's Dialogues here pretty soon. But we just finished Leisure, the Basis of Culture. It was a really great read. We had a solid between 8 and 12 people a week joining us.
That's a great size.
It's a great group. Yeah, it was a great group. But so let me throw this definition out at you for leisure.
I was just about to say, Adam, since you just did the book study, what is leisure?
And let me see what your thoughts are on this.
I'm ready.
Okay. It says, leisure is an attitude of mind and a condition of the soul that fosters a capacity to receive the reality of the world.
I agree. In fact, that's exactly how I would have said it.
Really?
If you had just asked me, Dave, in your own words, what's leisure? I would have said those exact words, I think.
What did you think? You like that?
No, I agree. So to me, when I think about leisure, I think about an activity that's done for its own sake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So we're not doing this because I get something out of it.
Right.
I think that's a really important aspect of leisure, that when you think about the activity, you think about you say like, it is good. The thing itself is good, and I do it for its own sake. Okay, for instance, we'll kind of jump ahead a little bit, but I think gardening is a good example. Gardening can be very leisurely. I love to garden. I find a lot of leisure in gardening.
Okay.
I am not gardening because I get produce out of it. Okay, I'm not doing it just to eat and grow peppers. I actually love that part of it too. Mm-hmm. But even just the gardening itself, like we also grow flowers, right? But just there's something very good in the husbandry and the cultivation of plants, right? And just like raising them and caring for them and just watching them grow. There's something I think it's fun. I like it. It's good. And there's just something that's why it's leisurely, right?
So Pieper says, for leisure is a receptive attitude of mind, a contemplative attitude, and it is not only the occasion, but also the capacity of steeping oneself in the whole of creation. And so, like that, I mean, gardening is a great example, right?
Yeah.
Of that is that, just like what he said, it's like it's not just for the occasion. Mm-hmm. Like you're not trying to do it to yield necessarily the fruits of gardening, pun intended, I guess. Vegetables.
I like it. It's a good pun.
Yeah. But it's about steeping oneself in the whole of creation.
Yeah, and so that's why I said like the activity you need to say it is good, right? Because that's where you're coming in touch with reality here. You know, the Lord said the same thing at the creation. You know, as he finished creation, he looked at each thing he created and said that it was good. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of participate in that same reality when we also look at creation and say it is good. You know, we're participating in the ultimate reality of the way things were made and what they're for. And so leisure is it's a very, 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 very important part of an authentic human life.
I think I agree. And so as we go through this list, I think one of the first things, so if we're talking about a list of things to do to increase leisure during the summer, one thing I think the first thing we should do before everything that we're going to talk about tonight is cultivate silence in our life.
Yes. He talks.
He
talks about silence a lot,
quite a bit, right? Leisure and contemplation.
Right.
Leisure and he actually says leisure is a form of silence, which, like, when you first hear that, you don't think that's
right.
Would be the case.
But it is. It's like a silence of the appetites.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about how noisy appetites are.
Right. And so he talks about like in order to properly understand leisure enables us to see things as a whole, to see things, the creation as it truly is, and it gives us the opportunity to ask basically three questions. Is what he says. It says, where am I from? Like, what's my origin?
Okay.
Where am I going? Our destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And who am I? Like the present moment.
Yeah.
So to silence our appetites, to silence the world, it gives us the opportunity to contemplate and to think about things like the important things in life. And inevitably, if you actually do this, one of these three or all of these, a combination of these, will eventually come up. Inevitably will come up.
Mm-hmm.
Because these are the things that are important in life. Like, why am I not? Why am I not? Why am I here?
Sure.
Where am I going? How am I doing? Like, self-conscious, like your examination of conscience, like, starts kicking in, right? Like, as you're quieting yourself and your appetites are quieting, everything, the world around you is quieting. All of a sudden, you can actually hear necessarily, the voice of God, in prayer and things of that nature, things like that.
Right. Yeah. The most important questions you can ask is, who am I, and what does it mean to be who I am?
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Those are the fundamental questions that everybody asks, whether you realize it or not. For centuries, people have tried, what's the meaning of life? Well, really, they're trying to answer these questions. Who am I? And what does it mean that I am who I am?
Right. And where did I come from?
Right. That's an important question, too.
Right.
So, there are a couple things that...
So hold on real quick. So before we get going on the list,
I wasn't going to start on the list yet.
Okay.
I was going to say what leisure is not.
Okay, but
do you want to jump in before that?
Yeah, because I want to just talk like when we say we should cultivate silence, people will probably ask, okay, well, how do I do that?
Well, leisure is one way to do it.
Yes, but okay, so what do I do, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that it's important to say, okay, well, we have to be like you have to be intentional about it. You have to carve out time to just be silent.
Yeah. You have to choose. Leisure is always something you do on purpose. I mean, you can actually, leisure is a virtue, so it's a habit, right? So you could get to the point where you're habitually being leisurely, right? So you're not necessarily like thinking about, and at 2:00 today I will do something leisurely.
Right. I mean, again, it's an attitude of the mind and a condition of the soul that fosters the capacity to receive the reality as it truly is.
But if it's not something that you're habitually disposed to yet, then you will have to choose actively to do it.
Right.
And it can, like leisure can be, almost anything could be done leisurely. Not everything can be. Some things are toil, and there are some things that are just work. And you just have to do them, but you do them so that you can get back to leisuring, right?
Not the other way around.
Not the other way around. We don't leisure. We don't rest just to like charge our batteries so that we can work some more. The reason we work is so that we have time to leisure, because leisure is the end. Leisure is the goal, not work. It's not like a coffee break where at work you take a coffee break just so I'm just taking a break so that I can work harder,
Right.
That's not what leisure is.
Well, I mean, we work during this life so that we can rest in God.
Right.
Right. So that's why when people pass away, we say, may they rest in peace.
Right. So leisure is not utilitarian. It doesn't have utility. You don't do something leisurely to get anything out of it. You're not accomplishing anything. The most leisurely things don't do anything, right? If you read the book Leisure, the Basis of Culture, his essays, Joseph Pieper,
John Senior,
yeah. Well, ultimately he comes to the conclusion, which I think is right, that the Mass is the highest form of leisure, and he points out how there's, it's like you don't get anything out of the Mass. Obviously, that's kind of a phrase that I think you can be taken aback by, because obviously you get the most important things out of the Mass, right? You get grace, you get sanctifying life in your soul, right? You get food for the journey, you can get to heaven. I mean, it's super important. You do get a lot out of Mass, but not on a natural level.
It's for its own sake as well.
It is for its own sake, but when you look at a person leaving Mass, what do you have now that you didn't? It's like, well, nothing. Not naturally speaking. You just kind of wasted some time, but obviously we know that that's not true, right? And the best leisurely things always have a religious component to them. That doesn't mean that if it's not religious in nature, it's not leisurely. That's not at all what it means, because actually most things that are leisurely aren't overtly religious. Okay, and once again, it's that attitude of mind that you bring to them. Where you can kind of bring in a prayerful attitude when you're doing them. We'll talk about it. Sure. You just want to keep going?
Mm-hmm. I had to turn the AC on because it was getting hot. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. Sipping on a little bit of this Talisker 18 here that is just delicious. Talking about leisure, one of my favorite topics.
So I have a list here of 21 things. I don't know if we'll get through
21.
All 21.
Well, I have a list as well.
Do you?
7. Oh. So we have 28.
3 times. We have a perfect number of 7. Times 3, which is another perfect number.
Plus
equals 21. This is just overwhelming.
On the 7th year of the Catholic Man Show.
That's right. So my 7-year-old daughter, I was asking her, like, what do you think, Elizabeth? Just kind of out of interest. I just wanted to know what she'd say. And she started rattling off things. I was like, I better write these down.
Hold on.
I'm not kidding. There are like 5 things on this list that she came up with. And I was like, man, like, you were just naming some like really good stuff here. So anyway, before we get anything else, before we just go into the because I want to like go through some of these and talk about like, man, yeah, that's why this is so good.
Well, I don't know what's all on your list. Are you going to talk about festivity at all?
Not overtly.
Okay, so leisure and festivity is very much.
And also, if you want to know more about this, we did an episode and we talked about festivity. You can always go back and listen to our other episode on leisure.
But
festivity is an important part of
one of the important parts
of
of festivity is abundance.
Yeah.
Right. So there's like a divine origin, there's abundance, and there's community aspect. Those are like the three things that constitutes like a proper feast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it's important as we think about like, okay, well, how do I cultivate leisure and cultivate it in a way to where I can also build community?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that you want to start off the summer like in a leisurely way. Put some pork butts on the smoker and invite your neighbors over for a barbecue cookout.
Which brings us to number 1 on my list.
Yes.
Smoking meat.
Was that your number 1?
Number 1 on the list, smoking meat.
I like this.
That's just like such a leisurely thing. And, you sit there for hours and you're doing nothing, kind of, right? You're just sitting there looking at your smoker. And I think if you want to do it more leisurely, don't use your Traeger grill. Okay. Your Traeger grill is awesome. I love it. Okay. It's going to produce a fantastic product for your table, which is, important to do because that's, we got to keep the end in mind of what we're doing. But you lose the process, okay, with your Traeger grill. So
it does it all for you.
Right. Exactly. It's dehumanizing the process. It is literally dehumanizing the process of smoking the meat, right? Because it's taking the human element out of it.
Yeah. I just think that it's really easy. Sometimes we try to complicate, like, how do we make community? How do we build community? It's like it's actually pretty easy. Like, make a bunch of food, and then just invite people over.
Anybody, in the parables, Jesus tells about like, the king who's throwing a wedding feast. Like, well, just go out into the streets and invite people. It's like you can literally do that.
We've talked about this before. This is your father-in-law's idea, the pew party.
The pew party. Oh, that's a great idea.
Pew party is anybody that sits 2 rows ahead of you at Mass or 2 rows behind you at Mass.
Because you know those people are. It's the same people.
Invite them
every
over
Sunday.
to your house.
Yeah.
And then have them.
He showed up. He showed up one Sunday with invitations.
Mm-hmm.
He passed them out in person. To the 2 rows behind, 2 rows in front. And then his idea was that the people in the row behind you would have their own pew party, and the people in the row in front of you. And so, like, eventually you're going to several pew parties, but each different party, you're meeting and getting to know these same people more and more and more. Mm-hmm. But each time there's a new row of people, right? And so you're like really solidifying these, because how well do you really know the people in the rows?
I'm embarrassed that
behind you and in front of you. You know what I mean?
There's
like
a guy that sits behind me
for years,
yeah,
maybe a decade,
and
you just barely know the guy's name.
In fact, he introduced himself to me. He and his wife, like 3 weekends ago.
It's like I've been sign of peacing you for a decade.
Yeah, for a long time.
And it's really good to know your name, sir.
It's like the peace that I give you with the peace.
Nice to meet you, Richard.
You.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's a great idea. But smoking meat, I think it's so leisurely because one of the things you have to do to like really liege is set aside the like habit we've developed of the need to be productive. Okay, like we feel like if I'm not doing something productive, then I'm wasting. I'm like it's like almost sinful, right? And that is not true, right? There is an order to all things. Now, if necessity and your vocation calls you to do something, and you're setting that aside just to sit here and smoke meat, okay, well that's disordered, okay, and that's a problem. But if you have if you've worked throughout the week in a properly ordered fashion, so that you can liege on a Sunday, especially, then that's why it's so great. Is that like, no, I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to sit here and look at my smoker. I'm going to drink a beer. I'm going to watch the kids wrestle in the, like in the grass.
Throw the football with them. Maybe read a little book.
I'm gonna like
cigar.
I'm gonna occasionally be like, hey kids,
yeah,
no sticks. Hey, quit, no, and like I'm just living the good life today as I look at my smoker.
Yes.
And then just like, hey,
adding wood every once
and
in a
every
while.
now and then you call your son over like, you want to look at it? You want to see it? Let's look at. Let's just see. Let's check on it, right? So that's why it's
Kids
so
are
leisurely.
Great for like affirmation.
Right, because you're able to set aside that like grind that it wears at you of constant productivity that you need to be doing something. You don't, okay?
But the first one took like 4 minutes to get through, so
playing music. Number 2, playing music.
Okay.
Okay, so once again, we're
like the recorder?
Anything. Yes, it could be the recorder. If you have skills like I do with the recorder, then you record.
Dude, you know what? You do have skills with the recorder.
Thank you.
And it's like,
I think I do.
It's actually really weird.
I wish it was a different instrument.
Because it's the most annoying instrument.
But it isn't.
Yeah.
It's but you know what? I wail. I wail on it.
You do. I agree.
Zero training. Okay.
I mean,
self-taught. I'm self-taught.
No, you knew hot cross buns from like 3rd grade.
You know what, Adam? You're right. To be fully transparent, I did have in music class in 2nd and 3rd grade, I think in both years, we did have like a week of recorder in music class.
This is what a best friend's for, to call you out on your
I
lies.
appreciate you keeping me honest on where my talents come from. But there's just like playing music, I think people get it. If like, especially if you can play music, right? If there's like one thing I could encourage men to do, it's to learn an instrument. It's learning an instrument is going to give you so much long-term satisfaction. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work, but it's absolutely worth it. And when you can get to the point where you can like sit down on a Saturday or Sunday and like play music for the kids. I like to get the guitar out, play the piano, and I sing songs that they like.
Right.
So I play a lot of kids songs.
Can you tell them about the Dunta Dunta song?
The Dun-Dun Dun-Dun song. It's a song. It's actually the accompaniment to like that song on the piano where you take your knuckles and you go brum bum bum 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 bum. So there's an accompaniment to that song, and my dad knows it, and he taught it to me. And when I was a kid, we loved it, and we would say play the Dun-Dun Dun-Dun song, because that's what we thought. Right, exactly. It goes dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
And so we would like run, and so he would play it, and what we would do is we'd run around the house in a circle.
This is in our small faith group. Like
right.
Every time
a good house has a circle you can run, right?
Sure.
And he would start off playing, and then he would slowly play faster and faster and faster and faster. And the faster he'd play, the faster you had to run.
Right.
It was great. In fact, I do it now with my own kids. It's a very, very popular song. But anyway, playing music. Number 3, gardening / eating fresh produce. There's something so satisfying, like when you can go out and like eat a watermelon that you grew, and it's fresh off the vine. Like, that is so good. We already talked about gardening. Separate from gardening is watering the garden. I think there's
a necessity.
It's necessary, but when you're out there watering, you just feel like you're doing something so good. You know what I mean? Like, man, I'm just like
providing life.
That's exactly what it feels like, man. I'm just like giving life to these plants right now. It just feels good. Just like you could just sit there and water all day. You know, like, oh yeah, I'll give you some water over here, and then
unless you're in California, that water is expensive.
Yeah, well, that's what you get for living in California. Fishing. Number 5, fishing. Fishing is an ultimate leisure activity because when you fish, you can't do anything else. You can't even listen to a podcast when you fish.
No.
Like you're in nature, you're quiet because you need to be. You're like kind of becoming part of nature when you fish, right? You need to hear the sounds. You need to you're paying it. You're like right there. You're all into the activity, right?
We need to have my son on the Catholic Man Show to talk about fishing.
Right, and like some people are fishing so they can like take a fish home and eat it, but mostly not. I mean, this is America, okay?
Well, if you're yeah.
I fish to eat sometimes, you know, like
crappie is the best.
Yeah, but most of the time when you're fishing, it's just because you want to go fishing.
Man,
you know what I mean?
Luke got he just turned 10. My oldest turned 10 years old yesterday. Really weird. That
is weird. Every time my oldest turns older, it's like, have I even been married that long? And I'll do the math. It's like, oh, good, I have. All right.
Yeah.
Woo! And plus 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, that much and 9 months.
But we got a new fishing pole because that's what he wanted.
How many fishing poles does he have?
Well, I
6?
think
Does he have 6?
probably, but they're all different.
Oh, absolutely, they're all
with
different. Adam, you don't have to tell me if they're all
Yeah.
different. I know they're all
So
different.
he wanted one. He had a very specific one. He went out today, and I we probably caught 15, 16. Threw them all back. He fished for probably like 3 hours today, and then after dinner he's like, "Hey, Dad, you want to go fishing?"
I've seen that boy fish from morning till evening,
Yeah,
all
he
day.
would just do it all day long.
He's gonna be a great man someday.
I can't wait. I can wait. Just slow down.
Actually, wait. I can't wait. He's only 10. I can't wait.
Actually,
I don't know why I said that.
He's 10 years old now.
I regret that.
Spoiling the Iliad for me.
That graphic novel looked good. Like
Dude,
the
yeah.
pictures were really. They were nice.
Mhm.
I've become like kind of a snob for like pictures in kids' books. You know, like so often these kids' books is like, what kind of like, what did you have kids do the illustrations too? Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
I want some good, like, beautiful pictures. All right, you ready?
Born ready.
I'm not ready. Okay.
Okay, now I'm ready.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles here with Adam in hand.
Talking about leisure.
We're talking about leishing, my liege.
21 ways to leisure this summer.
The next on the list, we're at number 6, so we're not gonna get through. We're not gonna get through them all. This is one of those episodes where you just gotta look. If you're listening to us on the radio, you need to subscribe to the podcast. That's just the only solution for it. If you want to liege well.
Yes, I agree.
So number 6, I think this one is gonna catch maybe people by surprise,
Unless that you've read John Senior.
unless you've read John Senior. But it's stargazing.
Yes.
I think stargazing is. I mean, it's like it blows your mind. If I'm sure you've stargazed before.
Yes. In fact, the next time that we go out to, I was going to do it this last time, but next time we go down to Southeast Oklahoma, where
you're like away from the light.
Land, yeah, we got a ton of land. But my father-in-law has a ton of land out there, and we go out there. And I was going to do it last time, but it was storming. But next time we go out there, I'm gonna keep the boys up. It's gonna be a special event.
Yeah. It's easier. It's actually easier in the winter, just because it gets dark sooner.
Right. But I think we'll have popsicles. Maybe get a fire going. Wait till it gets really dark.
Vodka popsicle for you, probably.
Well, don't judge.
Hey.
And then I'm
not judging.
He has this big deck in the backyard, and so we're gonna put a blanket out there, and we're just gonna lay down, and just stargaze.
Yeah. So one time in our cabin in Michigan, this is a number of years ago, we were kind of doing that. You know, like building a fire out by the lake. Fire had kind of gone down, and it's a really good place to look at the stars because we're away from a lot of cities. It's amazing how the city just ruins it. In fact, there is a city, the nearest city is about 25 miles away, and you can see the glow at night over the mountain. And you can see real. Like that like portion of the sky, kind of that over the mountain. There's no stars,
right.
Just from this city, which is it's not even a city, it's a smaller town, Gaylord, Michigan, and 25 miles away, and it's not like there's some huge nightlife in Gaylord, you know?
Oh, dude, I don't think you know.
Actually, I do. There's not, okay? There are some places, you know, they have establishments, but anyway, but that night we counted over 20 shooting stars. It was so awesome.
Why do you think? So I have my thoughts on this, but I'm curious. Like, why do you think stargazing?
Perspective. That's what I think. Yeah. Perspective. It gives you a sense of wonder and awe, grandeur in your own place, right? And how small things are. It launches you into contemplation.
That's right.
Which is why it's so leisurely. I mean, and that's so it's really a very leisurely thing to do. It doesn't sound like a masculine thing to be doing, but it really is. There's nothing effeminate or emasculine about stargazing.
I was reading an article the other day.
It's great for you to do with your sons. You know, like
correct.
I think that's just really awesome.
I was reading an article the other day. A philosophy professor, he was lamenting how difficult it is to start. Like he's a philosophy professor for like freshmen, like intro level philosophy.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how difficult it is to get kids, like this day, to like wonder. And like be in awe.
I totally get that.
And so he says, like, the very beginning,
because they think that there's answers for everything that they've never had to wonder. It's like
right.
you just you ask Siri or Google, and you find it out.
And he said, like, the first like couple weeks in their philosophy class, all he does is like put puzzles up on the board or like have them walk outside or like do different things just to cultivate the sense of wonder and awe.
It's one of the things I appreciate about Exodus 90.
Before philosophy, philosophy class.
No Googling,
Yes.
like unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
And so like there's all these times where it's like it comes up.
How old is Joe Biden?
Right, and you're like,
you know what? I don't know.
I can't look it up.
Yeah.
I can't. We just have to sit there and wonder about it because he seems super old to me. I don't know.
Yeah, like, what was the number one hit in 1978?
It's like,
was it Journey?
Was it Livin' La Vida Loca? I don't know.
No, that was in the 90s.
I'm just kidding.
Ricky Martin was in the 90s.
I was just kidding. I know. There is going to be a generation of our listener who did not realize that those two things are not the same.
Yeah.
Or not even close. Okay, so number 7, perfect a cocktail.
I like this one.
Okay. There's just it's first of all, it's just nice to be able to like, hey, have a cocktail. There's some things you should have ready. I think you should have a song ready for what's it called when you go up there and you see the word
party song.
When you go
what
karaoke. Thank you, Catherine.
I couldn't think of karaoke.
I couldn't. Listen. Look. Words are hard. The word was not coming to me. You should have a karaoke song ready. Okay.
Don't stop believing.
Whatever it is for you, like just have one ready. Okay. I think have a cocktail ready. And
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Do not pick. No, that is not your karaoke song. If you pick that as your karaoke song, you're
the worst.
You're the worst.
No,
you can't sing it.
Right.
Okay, but anyway.
Mine is and this combo's up. Mine's tequila.
Tequila. Nailed it. Tequila. But yeah, like pick a cocktail, like one that you like, and one that other people will like too.
Old fashioned.
An old fashioned is a great one. And perfect. Manhattan is also like kind of the same thing with less sugar, but
so which one's better?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I like sugar, so that's just where I stand on it. But I'll take a chocolate chip cookie with my old fashioned, please. Thank you. But perfect a cocktail.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the next one I'm really pumped about.
Number 8, throw a block party. We
did this.
We did this, and it was amazing. It was actually not even that much work. And I feel like the way we did it was more work.
Yeah.
And we did an episode on this because I cooked hamburgers for everybody.
Just go Google block party on thecatholicmanshow.com and listen to that episode. Because we threw a block party.
And it was really great. You can do it. You can do it potluck where it's not that much work. You don't have to provide food. But anyway, it was so great. It was a great thing to do.
Yeah.
And it really builds that community aspect that you were talking about earlier. Number 9, play a round of golf / or go bowling. I think golf is a very leisurely thing. It's slow. Okay, so like, when you think about like what a lot of these things have in common, many of them take a long time. Okay, and leisure is not vegetation. Okay, watching television is very rarely leisure. It can be actually, but like if you say I have nothing to do, so I'm going to watch television, that's never leisure. Now, if you might say I'm choosing actively to watch a good movie, okay, that can be leisurely. Like I'm going to do this, even if it's by yourself, that can be fine. But especially if you do it with the family, have a movie night, whatever. But golf.
I've thought about this a lot more, and I don't know if I agree with you.
That's okay.
But we can talk about it later.
Sure. But golf is a very leisurely sport. It takes a long time to do, but you're not just sitting there. Like you're using your body. It's challenging. But it's not exhausting. Bowling is similar. Like, I think bowling is just really fun.
So one thing that happened when I was newly married.
Yeah.
Was I was like, okay, what do I do for her birthday? And it's like, you know what? I'm gonna take her bowling. I'm gonna invite friends. I'm gonna go bowling.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of surprised. I didn't surprise. I just said like, hey, this is what we're doing. Instead of like, hey, what would you like to do for your birthday? Classic like new marriage mess up, right? You don't like just pick something for her most of the time. You should like ask her like, hey, what do you want to do? I didn't do that. I just picked it for her. It turns out she didn't really like bowling all that much.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, because I had a blast.
Right.
It was a lot of fun. Like her birthday was fun.
For me.
For me. Yeah, but bowling is really fun.
I love bowling.
Every time I bowl, I'm like, I should do this more often.
I'm surprised when there are people who don't like bowling.
Yeah, she's just not a big
Because
bowler.
just to me, it's like, God, this is great.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun. I can drink beer.
Number
and
10.
win.
Number 10. And I want to make sure to get through this one and at least number 11 because I like number 11. But number 10 is memorize poetry.
Some Robert Louis Stevenson. Start there.
Yes.
Easy.
I'm currently in the process of memorizing The Blacksmith, the village blacksmith.
Ooh, is that the poem that I sent over to you?
Under the sprawling chestnut tree, the village smithy stands.
Yep.
The smith, a mighty man is he, with large and sinewy hands. Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite poems.
Yeah.
It's also like a short poem, but it's just really, really beautiful.
Dana Gioia.
Dana Gioia is also
Catholic
poet, modern day. Yeah, his poem, A Summer Storm, was the first poem that ever like really, really inspired me.
Can you still do it?
I can.
Let's do it.
It's too long.
On the other side of the break.
I'll do it.
At the
I'll
end.
do it on the other side of the break.
Yeah.
Number 11, sharpening knives. I think this is so. I love It takes forever.
Yeah. Dude, I'm gonna give you my case knife, my new it's an old case knife.
Okay.
I want to give it
is
to
it is it narrow? Because my knife sharpener. So I am a big. I'm not actually a big fan, but I use the Lansky sharpening system, and I've had a lot of success with it. Mm-hmm. However, it actually doesn't work well for like pocket knives because they're too thin, and in that clamp it doesn't work well with thin knives. It works really great on like a buck knife or kitchen knives. But it takes a long time, but you can just sit there and just sharpen. You can sit on the couch, and just sit there and sharpen. And you're just sharpening, man, like maybe spend an hour on one blade. And by the time you're done, man, it's incredible.
If you're in Southeast Oklahoma and you're sharpening knives, like get ready for the buck to clean, and you're over there doing it, and the other guy's knife is like, my knife is dull. Here, let me give it a lick. That's the phrase. Let me give it a lick.
Yeah, run it on the stone.
Yeah.
Get a little wet.
Okay, so we're out of time on the Catholic Radio. Go check us out at thecatholicmantra.com. You're gonna recite a poem for us.
I will. We're also gonna go over just these other ones.
Which we have 7 more or so?
We'll just go on through it real quickly.
We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
And cheers to Jesus. Okay, do you want me to do the poem now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So this is
because I love this poem, and
I also love
it's like one of my favorites.
So this is a summer storm.
Catherine, have you ever heard of Dana Gioia before?
By Dana Gioia.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's I wouldn't say he's well known.
I know. It's we're gonna try to have him on the show this year. Fly him out from California. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on this poem.
You're really putting me on the spot here. I'm trying to remember how it begins, and if I can remember like how it starts, I'll be able to do the whole thing. We stood on the rented patio while the party went on inside. You knew the groom from college. I was a friend of the bride. We hugged the brown stone wall behind us to keep our dress clothes dry and watched a sudden summer storm floodlit against the sky. The rain was like a waterfall of brilliant beaded light. Cool and silent as the stars, the storm hid from the night. To my surprise, you took my arm, a gesture you didn't explain, and we spoke in whispers, as if we too might imitate the rain. Then suddenly the storm receded as swiftly as it came. The doors behind us opened up. The hostess called your name. I watched you merge into the group, aloof and yet polite. We didn't speak another word, except to say good night. Why does that evening's memory return with this night's storm? A party 20 years ago, its disappointments warm. There are so many might-have-beens, what-ifs that won't stay buried. Other cities, other jobs, strangers we might have married. And memory insists on pining for places it never went, as if life would be happier just by being different. You're supposed to snap. You always snap.
100% accurate.
Yeah. Pretty good, huh?
Thank you. Yeah.
Pretty
That's
solid.
the poem by Dana Gioia. Yeah, and when I heard that, I was like, man, I don't know why. There's something about that poem that really struck me. And I just really liked it, and I memorized it. And there's something about having memory or poetry committed to memory. I mean, it's not to the same degree as memorizing the holy word of God, but
correct.
But it's there's there's goodness and there's beauty in the verse. I also know Leisure by Davies, which is another good poem. So I know only a handful of poems. Actually, I know a lot of poems now. Most of them are children's poems.
Robert Louis Stevenson.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Robert Louis Stevenson basically has written every poem in the world.
He's like the Bob Dylan of poems.
Bob Dylan has got nothing on Robert Louis Stevenson. It's like, anyway. So I know a lot of children's poems just because we're homeschooling and our kids recite them now. My kids can recite, I don't know, probably 50 poems. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's just really great.
Like
There's
Ooey
something.
Gooey?
Ooey Gooey was a worm, indeed. So sharpening knives, memorizing poetry, doing a puzzle. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. There's just something great about puzzling.
It's my wife and I started doing when she was pregnant with John. We were the kids would go to bed, and it's we just weren't ready, to go to bed yet. And we didn't want to waste time watching TV or just sit on. So we were you know what? We're just gonna do a puzzle.
It is.
And
it's really great. I love doing things with Lady Pamela that we can do together, where we work on them together.
Yeah, and
because there's actually not a lot of things like that we get to do where we're working together on something. Obviously, family, we do that all the time, but it's just not quite
baby smithing.
Yeah, exactly. You can't finish it. It's nice to finish something together.
It also it just gives you the opportunity to have just normal conversation.
Also,
which is in a puzzle, you're just sitting there.
Doing a puzzle with somebody, you realize how different you think.
Yeah.
There are people.
Why are you not doing the corners first?
Right. It's what? You're not even going to do the edges first? I do the edges first. Pamela doesn't. She starts going, she colors. She's going by colors. And just, instead of she thinks it's a waste of time, you're just looking aimlessly, wasting all this time trying to find the last few corner pieces. When I'm over here, and you know what? She's kind of right, because by the time I'm done, she's completed a large portion of the puzzle. Because she's working
color
on
coordination puzzles.
And so it's but it's different. I am going to and always will do the edges first, because it just makes sense to me. Anyway, just when you do puzzles with people, you find out we think differently.
Men and women.
God, women.
They're the best.
Take a walk. Take a walk is obviously very leisurely. One thing that we did here with our family is once we moved, we have some land now, so we do a Sunday walk.
I like this idea.
It's become a really tradition that everybody in our family looks forward to. We got to do our Sunday walk with Catherine today. But we come home from Mass and we take a walk. We get to look at how the flowers have changed, how things have grown.
A walk around your land,
just
right?
around our property,
yeah.
Right? But you could do it. You could pick if you don't have that big of a property. Find a place to walk and just around the neighborhood. I mean, because that would be great. You can see how other people's flowers are growing. I mean, It's all this. It doesn't matter if they're your flowers or not.
Right.
You get to enjoy the beauty of them regardless. Smoke a pipe. It's really
big fan. I bought some tobacco this weekend that's called Oreo cookie.
Oh, really? I meant to bring my pipe. I was gonna bring it just for this one.
And so
and then we could be smoking our pipes all day, all this episode.
I'm anxious to get to smoke it. Because you know what?
Do these rabbit filters? Are they Have you
I have not. I have
replaced them?
No, I had the filters like right here. I just not
Okay.
like replaced them yet. But I have come to the realization that I am a guy who just enjoys like more sugary tobaccos.
Yeah, aromatics.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to like English tobacco a lot because it's just like
It's cool.
like the more advanced, I guess, or what.
Oh, it's clearly cooler.
Perceived like
It's clearly cool. I mean, I felt this way when I started drinking whiskey. I wanted to be a Scotch drinker so bad.
Right.
But I just like I had to realize, and I came to the conclusion that I'm not. I'm just a bourbon guy. However, the moment that I made that realization and like admitted that to myself was also the moment where I had just like finally started drinking enough Scotch where I realized actually I was a Scotch. I also discovered Laphroaig.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it's like the Lord like really blessed me because he's like, you wanted to be a Scotch drinker, you finally overcome like your own pride,
yeah,
and so now I will make you the Scotch drinker you always desired to be. The Lord, God is so good. He is so good all the time.
Yes. What's the next one?
So smoking a pipe is really, really great. Obviously in moderation. Write a letter / call a friend you haven't talked to in a long time. Okay. You've got a friend out there. You haven't talked to him in a while. You're still really great friends.
Do you have a guy? Do you have like anybody that you write a letter to on a consistent basis?
I don't.
I do. I have multiple people.
Do you really?
Yes.
Obviously, I'm not one of them.
No. Because I see you all the time.
Yeah. No, but there's writing a letter.
Dude, it got lost in the mail.
Yeah. All of them.
Yeah.
Writing a letter has such intentionality to it. It has such meaning.
Yeah.
Like when I have received letters from people only a few times, but I still have them.
Me
like
too.
my mom wrote me a letter in college telling me like how I needed to change my whole life and how, like she was, disappointed. But like I didn't like getting that letter, but I still saved it. Like it still had a lot of meaning to me.
Mm-hmm. It's the letter I plan on reading at your funeral.
Good. Good, because at least people will like hopefully be inspired to pray very fervently for my soul, which is what I want people doing at my funeral. But it doesn't have to be a letter. I mean, just call somebody. Like,
yeah.
Set aside 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Call and like really catch up.
Yeah, who's a guy that you used to talk to in college a lot, or like a guy that you was a good friend of yours that you haven't talked to in a long time?
Yeah,
and it's like life just happens, and you haven't talked to him in a while, and
right, and you're probably a lot different, and so is he, and like great, call and catch up on those things.
Yeah.
Obviously, doesn't mean that you're ever going to be the same friends that you were.
Sure,
that's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, just call somebody, read a classic book.
This is what I think. Like, if we're coming up with things
I don't read a good. Like read a classic book.
Yeah, read
a book that you're going to be proud of to have read, and to like be able to talk about with other people. Because reading a classic book is going to make you. Once again, we're doing these things because they have utility. We're doing them because they have goodness,
bragging purposes
in and of themselves. But it's the book is good itself, right? And so just reading it is the goodness.
This is something that I think that every man should do this summer, like, is decide I'm going to read at least one book this summer and figure out like what book that is and just like make time to read it.
Yeah.
Like if you haven't read a book in a long time, like make a decision and say I'm going to read a good book this summer.
Yeah.
Even if it's hard, even if like it's arduous, like the satisfaction of reading a book and finishing it, like that last page and closing the cover, is very satisfactory. Like,
it is. And hopefully it's a story you can delight in. So like I'm slowly reading Lord of the Rings on Sundays.
Oh yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear you say that, Adam. But it really, there's a lot of delight in I'm not trying to finish. I just am. Like, and it's been 6 months since I've had the opportunity, like having moved and stuff, like it just haven't had, the opportunity has not presented itself. Also, we've been really reading the Iliad. So like most of my book reading has been that,
and now we're starting.
But that's okay. Cause my point in when I do pick up the Lord of the Rings is not to finish. It's just to read it, because I delight in the story itself.
If you haven't read it in a while, I highly recommend reading a book that is short.
Yes, I love short books.
Because, like,
Lord of the Rings is not short.
No, but like you have a sense of accomplishment. It doesn't take as much investment. Doesn't take as much time. You can kind of get one underneath your belt, so to speak, and then you can kind of move on. This is why I love Joseph Pieper, because most of his books are short.
They're not actually books; they're essays.
Right? That they've turned into books. Like Plato's Dialogues is another really great one that you can read.
Yeah,
and
his dialogues are fun.
Yeah,
I think they're fun.
And if you haven't read them before and you want to read them with a group, go to patreon.com/The Catholic Man Show.
Because you're gonna do it.
Because we're gonna do it.
Number 17, split firewood.
Oh, I love.
It is right. It's just like when you start to get it, because in the beginning it's hard, but once you get the wrist snap at just the right time, you know what I'm saying, and you can
make sure you take your wedding ring off.
Yeah. I mean, you're
blood blister galore.
You're gonna have blisters, and if you're like me, when I am splitting firewood, I am convinced, and this whether this lines up with reality or not does not matter to me, but I am just convinced, and I don't ever look because I know she is, that Lady Pamela is just sitting, like, watching me, just thinking, like, what a man. As I split this firewood, I just know she's over there in the window, like,
just
trying to get other work done, but just can't help herself from looking at, like, this sweaty man outside, just, like, chopping firewood, like, oh, what a man. I know that that's what she's doing. And I would never obviously ask her because that would be embarrassing, but I don't have to. That's the thing. I don't have to.
I think there are very few problems in this world that cannot be like solved
by chopping firewood,
by splitting wood. Like if you're frustrated or you have anxiety or you're not sure how to solve a problem in your life, go out and chop wood for a couple hours.
Personal problems.
Okay,
I think that's an important distinction. Personal problems in your life.
Well, I can't.
There's a lot of in Ukraine. There's a lot of global.
Wood.
Yeah, there's a lot of global problems.
I can't solve.
Well,
like there are people hungry.
I feel like I could make a list.
Yeah.
That's longer than this one about problems that probably can't be solved by no matter how much wood we chop.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean. Yeah. But it just feels good. Just satisfies you as a man to go out and chop wood. Go to a baseball game. Baseball game is notoriously leisurely. It takes forever.
The new rules, though, like have really...
you know what? Okay, so I was going to ask you, how do you feel about the new clock? I like it personally. I like it.
So I'm not a big baseball guy.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I don't even have the problem. Here's what the problem is.
Yeah. Full disclosure. I'm not a baseball fan.
The problem with
I like going to baseball games. I never watch baseball on television. I don't have a team that I root for.
That's the problem. This is what I was about to say. The problem with me, the reason why I'm not into baseball is because I don't have a team.
But going to a baseball game is totally different.
Right.
Like
same with hockey.
Yeah, sure.
Like I don't like hockey. Like I just
baseball is substantially more leisurely than hockey.
Yeah, they're different.
Hockey is sort of
a lot more fun.
Inspires more inner rage than like happy rage sort of, but like baseball is fun. Oh, what a great day. It's so beautiful outside. You hear the crack of the bat,
Eating a hot dog, Cracker Jacks.
Right, and you nowadays you get to laugh. You get to laugh
beer
at the dude who's trying to sell Bud Light, but just can't, because nobody will buy it. Right, it's like an extra element to how fun the game is. Like he's been trying to sell that same beer this whole game. Poor guy. I think that's funny.
I do.
But yeah, going to a baseball game.
I was laughing internally.
Here in Tulsa, if you're in Tulsa, if you've never been to the new Driller Stadium, the new stadium is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
They did such a good job.
It's family friendly.
Building that stadium, it is. There's not a bad seat in the house. Anyway, it's like very affordable to go for your whole family.
Yeah, dude, no one cares because almost everybody who listens to this podcast are not from Tulsa.
Just like Tulsa is awesome.
Well,
if you're Catholic, if you're not Catholic, then don't come here, please.
Yeah, please.
Please
it's
do
a
not
flyover
come
country.
Here. It is. It's just flyover country. You would hate it.
Yeah. We still have horses and buggies.
Right. Yeah. The air conditioning is not. We haven't even figured that out yet.
No, we don't even know what it is.
Number 19, nap in a hammock because we have no air conditioning.
That's right.
That is actually number 19, not the air conditioning part, but. I was thinking about this, and to me, I'm not sure napping is really like that leisurely of an activity. because you're not actively doing it, right? Like, now a good nap, obviously, like sometimes you need a nap. It feels great. You're refreshed. Okay.
But that's the difference.
But
you're doing it to be refreshed.
Now this is something I've thought about. You could plan a nap and plan what I'm gonna do when I get up. I'm gonna take a 30-minute nap, and then I'm gonna play catch with the boys. Okay.
See,
so
like
I
I plan naps is like, okay, I'll take a melatonin at 3:00.
I plan naps inspirationally. I took one today.
You took one
where
today?
I was playing Guess Who with Elizabeth. I won. Just for the record. 5-1. She did win the first game, and when she won, I was like,
okay,
man,
I got to step up.
I guess it's like I wasn't going easy. She won, but then I won the next 5 in a row, and so I.
In your face.
Yeah,
Elizabeth.
take that, Elizabeth. Bring your weak game up in here. So but I was like, crashing pretty hard, and I was like, all right, Elizabeth, I have to lay down for a second.
This game has just worn me out.
And then I woke up when Catherine came. She was like, hello. And I was like, oh, hey, Catherine. Welcome. Let me get my balance.
Yeah. Beer's in the fridge.
Yeah. But so taking a nap with plans of what you're going to do when you wake up from your nap, I think that there's something there. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I think there's something there. But otherwise, I don't think napping technically qualifies as leisure. However, I do think swinging in a hammock.
I do like that.
Okay? And just like enjoying the nice day in a hammock. I think. And if you happen to fall asleep, that's okay. Okay? So, there's a difference here. It's sort of like, should you smoke a cigar while praying? No. Should you pray while smoking a cigar? Sure.
Of course.
You see the difference? Okay.
I hear the difference.
Yeah. Playing a board /card game.
What's your favorite card game?
Gosh. I don't even know. The one I play the most is Saint Cards. It depends on the setting. I really like Spades.
Spades is probably like my favorite card game. Like with a group of people, because there's strategy. It's like chess for cards.
Yeah. Yeah. I like.
It's like, I'm gonna move here, so that where to move next.
I like most card games because I have played enough where I understand the mechanics of the 52 card system and what that means for gameplay, in that there are these cards, there's a set number, and I understand the probabilities and the strategies. It makes me I feel like I'm pretty good at applying the rules of the game to win. And obviously, the game I like the most is the one I win.
Oh yeah.
I don't like to play games that I lose at. It's not very leisure. I know that's not a leisurely attitude of me, but I'm not perfect yet. So the last one.
Contact Jim for the Saint Card discount code.
Oh, we do have a Catholic Man Show.
Dude, that was a Jim Spencer appearance
guys,
on YouTube.
We didn't even have to force that one.
Yeah, we didn't even have a Jim cam.
That may be the first voluntary. Well, maybe not, but it's one of only a couple voluntary Jim appearances. That's what he looks like, everybody.
Yeah.
That was it.
That was it.
You saw it.
You're welcome.
So the last one, this is one of Elizabeth's.
Number 21?
This is number 21. This is one of Elizabeth's things.
I was going to ask which one.
This is one of them. She actually had a lot of them. But
did she have any silly ones?
No. I'm telling you, dude, she started rattling off.
They did pick Inky, and so.
Dude, I know. That's why I was so surprised. I didn't have pen and paper when I asked her, and I actually was like, hang on, I need to write some of these down. I'm trying to make a list here, and you're like, I didn't realize, Elizabeth, that you were going to name real stuff. She said sketch.
Oh, dude, I love this.
I would never do this just because I'm so bad. So I cannot draw. I am good at virtually everything.
Virtually? What does that mean?
There is that almost everything. Okay. The almost part is drawing.
It's broad.
Is drawing. I cannot draw. I cannot.
Your penmanship is terrible.
I cannot do it. I cannot draw. honestly, my 8-year-old daughter, yes, she just turned 8. She can draw better than I, and so can my 6-year-old daughter.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I just finished the biography of Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay.
Recently on Audible. Great, fantastic listen if you are looking for an Audible credit to burn. It was a lot of fun, and it inspired me to just try to start sketching.
Okay.
I'm terrible at drawing as well. I'm better than you, but that's not saying much. I mean,
obviously you're better than me.
Right. At everything. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try. And so what I would do is I would just put this glass, and I'd set it down, and then I'd ask Luke and Jude, and Anna to come over here, and I was like, okay, let's all
your boys. Jude is a good. Jude is a very good drawer.
Yeah, he has his mama's talents in that aspect.
Uh-huh.
But I would say
is Haley? Is she good at drawing?
Yeah, she's good. Yeah, she's just a good artist in general.
Yeah, Pamela is a fairly good artist as well.
Yeah, so I would say let's all draw this together, and so we would all just sit down and just draw it, and
so you all drew it.
We all
That's
drew
fun.
it. Yeah, and so it's a lot of fun because then and I would here's what you got to do. You got to tell them though, do not rush.
Uh-huh.
This is not a game of who can do it quickest.
Right.
With my boys, everything is a competition, so whoever finishes first wins.
Right.
That's typically the game, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I
mostly that is the way it works.
Right. And so I said no. Let's take our time, and whoever's drawing is the best wins, not who finishes first. And it takes them a little bit because the first round they still try to win, by being first done. It's just ingrained in them, and so it takes them a couple times because then they're just sitting there for 20 minutes as you're finishing yours, just dominating, obviously.
Look, Dad's still drawing the base. That's hilarious.
But it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. We have been doing this on a regular basis.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. So I could see how that would be I like to sit down and play the guitar. Because I have basic guitar skills. I'm not like a guitarist, but I can play chords.
Are you a Guitar Hero?
I used to be.
Yeah.
I used to be good at Guitar Hero, but I cannot draw. But if I could see and understand how that would be. In fact, someone, one of Joni Boyne, one of Pamela's friends, recently did a sketch of my youngest daughter, Susanna, and gave it to us. I showed it to you. I mean, it was amazing. Yes. And I just couldn't believe. She said she asked, "Can I sketch her?" And she took a picture of her, and it was. Just amazing. It was she has such a talent. It was very impressive. And if I could do that, I think that would be really satisfying. Yeah. Even if you throw it away, you do it and you throw it away, right?
But it's a lot of fun.
Just because it's you're just creating, and it's
right.
It's a leisure. So
we did a coffee mug one day, and it was me and I think Luke were the only ones that were doing it, and we finished, and we were comparing and looking at them, you know, and then the other family members, well, what are you guys doing? And they came in and they're like, well, I want to do it. Mm-hmm. And it was just fun because it ended up being every member of the family except for John. He's slacking. But
you know what, dude? You got to. I mean, when is he? You
got to start disciplining.
When is he going to participate?
I know.
You know.
I mean, every member of the family has a duty to serve.
He's at least 2 months now. I mean,
he's 3. He's 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah, and he's not doing anything. It's incredible.
We don't have to talk about this on the show, but I think that you really need to, as a father.
Yeah, step it up.
You got to.
But it was fun because Haley, Haley drew it. I drew it. We all drew one, and then it was fun to just put them all together, together and just look at them.
Yeah.
And then we threw them away. But it was just fun.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
Just the doing.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
So that's the end of my list. Anything you wanted to add to the list?
No, I think ordering your life to have silence is a big part of this. If we are going to be creators,
tease that out. Why is that important?
So we're going to be creator. A lot of leisure is creating just for the sake of creating, right? Whether that be creating entertainment, creating competition, creating enjoyment, musing. Like musing is a very interesting word, right? In fact, in Leisure, the Basis of Culture, people quotes Plato,
the Muses,
talking about the Muses, right? And Muses, the etymology of it is like amusing, music, museum, like all these different words that like incorporate, creativity, incorporates entertainment.
Yeah.
So if we're going to participate in being a creator, we should ask the creator to inspire us.
Mm-hmm.
The creator being God, obviously.
But the silence. I just want to just wrap. I think this is a good spot to end. We talked about it a little bit, but if you don't have silence, your appetites are loud, right? You constantly have this hunger for noise, for entertainment, for distraction. Okay.
For reels.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Ridiculous.
I got like
shorts.
Yeah, I got hooked on that this week.
They're
at this conference. Like
you have to be careful. I mean, yeah, like I find myself doing it too. It's like, how did I even get here?
Yeah.
What happened?
How
long have I been doing this?
I was at the conference, and so I didn't have any of my family around. I didn't have so at night I was just in my hotel room. I was just
it's like a conspiracy or something.
Checking Facebook, and then all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, this is a funny video," and I was like, I watched it, and then I looked up, and I had burned 30 minutes.
It's 3 a.m.
It wasn't that bad, thank goodness.
But we have to have silence, right? Because that's the only time that we can do a lot of these things, right? If you're trying to sketch, but all you're thinking about is like, I want to finish so I can go watch those YouTube shorts again, or I want to go have fill in the blank, whatever.
Can't wait for this episode
appetite,
to be over so I can go back to watching reels.
Right. I mean, so that you can never have leisure if you're being constantly called to the next thing,
pulled to the next thing.
Right. Exactly. So, because you gotta be able to sit down and say, I'm just smoking meat. Not doing anything else.
Looking at this.
You're just gonna sit here and look. Would you just look at that smoke? Oh, doesn't it look good coming out of that smoker?
Soaking up some sunshine.
Just smoking it.
Drinking a beer.
You want to stare at it with me? You have to promise not to say anything for a while. All right.